When it comes right down to it, we all have a role to play in the elections. No matter your preference, we get to vote for our government. November's elections matter, and it's extremely important to get the facts about the candidates. We're on information overload. It's hard to cut out all the noise and focus on the issues that matter to you. The Pocono Current is working to bring candidates to the stage for forums and debates starting in April. Questions you have for those who seek elected office in a civic and civil forum.
Good evening and thank you for joining us tonight. Welcome to the Spring Candidates Forum here at the Sherman Theater. I'm Gianna Galli, and tonight we are proud to bring you this special broadcast here on PTN, presented by the Pocono Current. To my left, I'm joined by Marta Gouger with the Times News here in Lehighton. She has decades of experience in news. And to my left is Justin Gambita with Wayne-Pike News Radio, and I thank both of them for joining me here tonight. This forum is made possible through a strong local media partnership with 2822 News, the Times News, and Bold Gold Media Group, working together to ensure voters across the Pocono region have direct access to the candidates seeking to represent them. Tonight is about clarity, accountability, and giving you, the voter, a clear look at the individuals asking for your support in the upcoming primary election this May. Throughout the evening, you will hear from a half dozen candidates tonight running for Congress and the Pennsylvania State Senate, representing districts across the 4 counties of the Pocono region. Each candidate will begin with a brief introduction, followed by responses to a series of questions curated in partnership with the League of Women Voters of Monroe County, who are in audience tonight. These questions are designed to focus on the issues that matter most to residents across our communities, including economic development, infrastructure, elections, healthcare, and affordability. Candidates will appear individually, allowing for focused, uninterrupted responses and a deeper understanding of where each stands on the issues presented. To ensure a fair and respectful forum, we ask that all participants and our audience to adhere to a few important guidelines. Each candidate will be given equal time for opening statements and responses. Questions have been prepared in advance and will be asked consistently across candidates in the same race. There will be no direct debate or rebuttal tonight during the forum. The focus is on individual perspectives. Candidates are asked to remain with designated time slots to allow for a balanced program here tonight. And audience members are also asked to remain respectful and refrain from any interruptions, demonstrations, or commentary during candidate responses. Our goal is a constructive, informative dialogue that helps voters make confident, informed decisions. And a quick reminder, Pennsylvania's primary election will take place on May 19th. This is a critical opportunity here tonight for voters to help determine which candidates will advance to the general election come November. If you are not yet registered to vote or need to check your registration status, you can find everything you need at PoconoCurrent.com. And there you'll also find ongoing coverage of local races, candidate profiles, and election updates. The deadline to register is May 4th for the Democratic and Republican primaries. Our first candidate this evening is Mayor Paige Cognetti, a Democrat running for Pennsylvania's 8th Congressional District. Her opponent in the fall will be incumbent Congressman Rob Bresnahan. Congress is in session right now, and the congressman was unable to attend tonight's forum. Mayor Cognetti currently serves as the mayor of Scranton, where she is focused on fiscal stability, infrastructure improvements, and government transparency. Prior to her time in public office, she worked in economic development and public policy. Please join me in welcoming Mayor Paige Cognetti. Mayor, thank you for being here tonight. You will have 90 seconds to introduce yourself to our viewers and our voters here at the forum, and there will be a timer presented in front of you with that time, and then our panel will present questions. You may begin.
Sure, thank you. Thank you to the Pocono Current, the Pocono Mountain Visitors Bureau, the Monroe County League of Women Voters for this important forum, and to all the viewers out there watching this evening. My name is Paige Cognetti. I have been the mayor of Scranton for 6 years. I have 2 beautiful daughters that I live with in Scranton, along with my husband and my mother, who helps keep us running every single day. My husband is a small business owner. He's in the food business, the 4th generation in his family to own a food business here in NEPA. But I do tease him that, in fact, our family roots go even deeper. My 4 times great-grandparents were in Wayne and Susquehanna counties, so we say that our roots are even deeper than his. Here in Scranton, unfortunately, we have had some problems with corruption. And when I was in Scranton and trying to figure out what I wanted to do to give back to my community and where I wanted to raise my children, I realized that this was a place where public corruption was the norm. When the mayor of Scranton was indicted for extortion in 2019, I ran for mayor as an independent against a Democratic political machine that thought they could get away with continuing to run the city in a way that favored friends and family. That is not the type of place that I would raise a family. I ran for that race and we won. And every single day since, I have dedicated myself to bringing transparency, fiscal accountability, and high standards to the city of Scranton. I don't take a city car. I don't have a gas card. I gave away part of my salary during COVID, and we've continued to show Scranton and Northeastern Pennsylvania what it means to serve for the people, to sacrifice for the people, and to make sure that government works as hard as the people it serves.
Thank you for your introduction. We'll begin with our questions. Mayor, first, gas prices have skyrocketed since the start of the U.S.-Israel war with Iran. Prices higher than we have seen in years. What actions would you take to lower cost for Pennsylvania families?
So first off, we saw the ACA tax subsidies expire at the beginning of this year. More than 100,000 people in Pennsylvania no longer have health insurance because of that expiration. In Congress, we need to go back and put those subsidies back in place so that people can have health care. It doesn't mean the system is perfect. The system needs reform. Medicaid needs reform. But HR 1 last year cut $1 trillion out from our system, a system that was already failing here in Northeastern Pennsylvania. Up in Scranton, we have a hospital system that, while it has been purchased, is still in the red, and it's unclear to us what the future holds for healthcare, not just in our city, but across the entire region. We saw in Wayne County that the trauma center has downgraded. We don't have enough healthcare here, so these cuts that Rob Bresnahan and this Congress are making are hurtling us toward a cliff for healthcare, and that's not right for Pennsylvania families. We also need to address utility costs. As mayor, I am constantly fighting utility companies, the gas company, the water company, making sure that these rate increases that they try to put on us, that we're fighting back and not letting them. Insurance companies. We had a massive flood in 2023. I can count on a couple of hands the number of families and businesses who were able to actually count on the insurance companies to get what they deserved in the face of that tragedy. That's wrong. We need to reform insurance overall. We need to make sure that people have the health care they need and a system that works for them. We also need to make sure that we're cutting red tape at the local, state, and federal level. We have built nearly 1,000 units of housing in Scranton during our tenure because we've made it easier to build. We've cut the cost of doing business in Scranton. We need to do that full sale across the board, and federal regulation can help. I've advocated with mayors across the country for better housing regulations to make sure that we're able to build the housing we need across our region, across our country.
Thank you for that response. Marta here is going to ask our second question now.
Thank you. Mayor, the economy is on everybody's mind. What will you do to promote a vibrant economy in Northeastern Pennsylvania and across the United States? How does this align with public concern regarding the environmental impact of development, such as data centers, energy use, and infrastructure?
Sure. So for economic development, housing is paramount. We have to make sure that we are paving the way to be able to build housing. That means making sure that we are taking away overly onerous environmental regulations while still holding extraordinarily high standards. for air and water. We need to make sure that we are supporting our small businesses. The taxes, the tariffs right now are killing businesses of all sizes, but especially our small businesses here in northeastern Pennsylvania. We've got utility companies that are raising these rates on businesses and families. It's completely untenable. We need to make sure that we are supporting small businesses. Healthcare is a huge piece of that. We need to make sure that we're also doing the big projects like getting the train built from Scranton to New York that would go right through Monroe County and help open up our entire region, make sure that universities like East Stroudsburg can have all of the students that they can possibly have. We need to make sure that it's easy to do business in northeastern Pennsylvania. The train is a huge part of that, and it needs to be built with local union labor. When it comes to data centers, we have so many that are proposed throughout this region. And unfortunately, NEPA is used to big companies and big industry coming in, making promises, and then leaving us holding the bag. That's why you see so much fear and anxiety around these data centers. It is so important that the big tech companies sit at the table, come out from behind the shadows, stop hiding behind local attorneys, say who you are, sit at the table with us, sit with our union leaders, sit with our mayors, sit with our county commissioners, sit with our developers. We can figure this out. There are great examples across the country where this can work without it raising costs for our businesses, without it raising costs for our residents. We are very concerned about the environmental and health impacts of these. We need to have these conversations, but without the end user tech companies at the table with us, we cannot get to that point.
Thank you, Mayor Paige Cognetti. That sound means our time is up, and we would like to thank the mayor for starting us off here tonight at the Spring Candidate Forum. We have more candidates waiting in the wings for the next part of the forum, and from there for the 7th Congressional District, which encompasses the Lehigh Valley plus parts of Monroe and Carbon counties, will meet 2 contenders on the Democratic ticket. When we come back, thanks for watching here on the Spring Candidates Forum on PTN, presented by the Pocono Current. I'm Gianna Gali, joined by Justin Gambita and Martha Gouger. We'll be right back after the break.
All local news, all the time. Your community, your news, one place. The Pocono Current. Our focus is what matters most to you about where you live in the Poconos. Head to PoconoCurrent.com to stay current.
From hometown fields to the national spotlight.
If it's sports, we're covering it.
Download the free 2822 Now app. Join Elena, Ricky, and me as we dive into the passion behind your local heroes. With exclusive analysis and interviews you won't find anywhere else.
Find the app on your smart TV. Just search 2822 on Fire TV, Roku, or Apple TV.
Catch 2822 Sports Night at 8 p.m. only on the 2822 Now streaming app.
We focus on the issues that matter most to you about your communities. The Pocono Current, a trusted place for important and accurate updates across Monroe, Pike, Wayne, and Carbon counties. Visit PoconoCurrent.com for updates that matter.
Welcome back to the Spring Candidates Forum here at the Sherman Theater, presented by the Pocono Current. I'm Gianna Gali, joined by Justin and Marta here tonight. You are watching on either Pocono Television Network or the 2822 News app. Next, we welcome Carol Obando Durstein, a candidate for Pennsylvania's 7th Congressional District. She is one of 4 candidates going for the Democratic nomination. Bob Brooks and Ryan Croswell declined to attend, as Congressman Ryan McKenzie is running to keep his seat after a narrow win over Susan Wild in 2024. Obando Durstein brings a background in community advocacy and public service, with a focus on expanding opportunity, strengthening families, and addressing regional economic challenges. Please welcome Carol Obando Durstein to the stage tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here. Thank you for joining us. And you also will have 90 seconds to introduce yourself to our viewers and our voters before we present you some questions. You may begin.
My name is Carol Obando Durstein, and I'm running for Congress because I've had enough of watching working families struggle to make ends meet while politicians like Ryan McKenzie vote to make their life worse. I'm also running because Trump's ICE is making it feel like it's a crime to be Latino in America, and I'm not sitting on the sidelines while my community is demonized. I came to this country at 3 years old from Colombia. I grew up in a working class home. Both my parents were in unions. I know firsthand what it means to struggle and to fight. I spent my whole career helping families get ahead, from preparing young people for jobs, to bringing services to the district, working for Senator Casey, to lowering energy costs as an engineer. And frankly, it was all of those life experiences that prompted the former Congresswoman Susan Wild to ask me to run. She knew I had the best chance at beating Ryan McKenzie. My record speaks for itself. I'm going to Congress to keep fighting for our district the way I have been for the last 22 years. Thank you.
Thank you for that introduction, and we have our first question tonight. What policies would you support to ensure that all Americans have access to health care and for it to be made affordable?
This issue is not abstract or political to me. It's real. I lost a dear loved one years ago when she was 22. She died because she couldn't afford the health care she needed. What we need to do is work towards universal health care, but towards that goal, we need to restore the cuts to Medicaid and the subsidies and keep strengthening the Affordable Care Act. We need to be able to have Medicaid and Medicare negotiate drug prices. And we need to have more transparency in the price transparency in the system to ensure that there's more awareness of prices and strengthening the rules around pharmacy benefit managers. We also can do a lot to add innovation into the system, to focus on efficiency. When I worked for Senator Casey, I began to work with Lehigh University's Health Systems Engineering program, and they were working on finding efficiencies, improving patient care and outcomes. Those are the types of ways in which we can strengthen the system and we can focus on waste and make improvements. We can support innovative solutions to strengthen the healthcare system that we have here.
Thank you for your response. Justin here is going to ask our second question now.
Yes, piggybanking off of the concept of affordability, what will you do to promote a vibrant economy in northeastern Pennsylvania and across the United States? And how does this align with public concern regarding environmental impact of development with data centers and similar projects, energy use, infrastructure, as well as just the rising gas prices?
You're right that families all across this district are stretched thin. They're struggling to be able to afford the basics under Trump's economy. And I get it because I've lived it. I came here as a child. I grew up in a working class home, and I even worked 3 jobs in high school just to be able to save up to go to college. So I get the challenges. We need to ensure that we raise wages and lower costs for families so they can be able to afford all of this. I want to be able to go to Congress and raise the federal minimum wage because it's been at $7.25 for way too long, since 2009. And we need to lower costs. Right now, we need to ensure that we roll back the tariffs that are putting a tremendous strain on families, that are driving up costs for groceries and home construction and electronics. We need to keep expanding the middle class and tax credits for the middle class and roll back the tax giveaways to billionaires. We saw that in the summer. We saw that with the Republican budget bill that gave trillions in tax cuts to billionaires, and that's not right. And you mentioned data centers and infrastructure. I am an energy expert, and I want to leverage that expertise in Congress. I went back to school as a working mom and studied at Lehigh University in energy, and I earned a degree in energy systems engineering. And so I will be a watchdog for our district around data centers. We don't need any more data centers until we are sure that there are better guardrails, because we don't want them shifting costs to all of us or impacting us in other negative ways in terms of power outages, water outages, or noise disturbances.
That sound means our time's up. Carol Urbando-Durstein, thank you for your time and being here joining us tonight for the Springs Candidates Forum. We thank you.
Thank you.
And we have our next candidate coming up in the 7th Congressional District right after the break when we come back. Again, I'm Gianna Gali, joined with Justin here and Marta, and we will see you right after this.
2822 Now. It's free for your TV, not your phone, not your tablet, just for your TV.
Live news, original shows, The Mahalchik Files, 2822 Sports Night, Off the Clock, and so much more.
Streaming free on Roku, Apple TV, and Fire TV.
2822 Now. Free for your TV. Did we mention it's free? 2822 Now. Download it on your TV.
Welcome back. If you were just joining us here tonight, we thank you for being a part of the Spring Candidates Forum here at the Sherman Theater. I am Gianna, joined by Justin and Marta tonight. Also running for the 7th Congressional District is Lamont McClure. McClure currently serves as Northampton County Executive, where his work is centered on fiscal management, public health initiatives, and economic development across the Lehigh Valley and surrounding communities. Please welcome Lamont McClure to the stage tonight.
Good evening. My name is Lamont McClure. Our democracy is at an inflection point, and our economy is under siege. I am running to defeat Ryan McKenzie so that we can put our future back on track. I think as the voters of the 7th Congressional District think about who they should choose in their primary candidate, one of the things they need to do is determine who can win the race, and then when that race is won, who has the experience to govern. I have just finished 8 years as the county executive of Northampton County. I was responsible for a $500 million budget, a more than $500 million pension system, for a total of managing a $1 billion government on an annual basis. Additionally, I was responsible for managing 2,000 full and part-time people. I have the experience to govern on day one. Additionally, I was a 2-term county executive in Northampton County, winning overwhelmingly twice. But the secret to the sauce of me defeating Ryan McKenzie is the fact that I am a native of Carbon County. And when we put together my political strength in Northampton County, the fact that I was raised in Carbon County with Carbon County values will spell the end of Ryan McKenzie's career and return control of the House of Representatives to the Democrats so we can start fighting Trump.
Mr. McClure, thank you for your introduction. The panel would now like to ask you questions. First, what policies would you support to ensure that all Americans have access to health care and that it would be affordable?
So I have long been a champion of universal health care, and I do believe we need to start our way on the path toward universal coverage. However, the first thing we need to do is defeat McKenzie, and here's why. McKenzie provided the deciding vote for what is referred to as the big beautiful bill. I call it the big ugly bill. He provided the deciding vote, and that bill cut $1 trillion from Medicaid. My first order of business to protect the health of the people of Pennsylvania 7 and all of the United States will be to restore those $1 trillion in health care cuts. The reason? In Pennsylvania 7, we've got 2 great publicly owned nursing homes, Gracedale in Northampton County and Cedar Brook in Lehigh County, and they rely on Medicaid. And I'm going to go down there to restore those cuts so that we can protect these wonderful nursing homes. Additionally, we must restore the ACA tax credits. McKenzie also could have leveraged his vote when they were reopening the government to make sure the Affordable Care Act tax credits were extended. Because McKenzie failed to do that, thousands of people are losing their health insurance, or they're making a decision whether to pay their utilities or for their health care or medicine. This is unacceptable in the United States of America, and we must make sure we extend the Affordable Care Act tax credits. Additionally, no one should ever go bankrupt in the United States of America because they own medical bills. This is something that we need to codify in law to protect people from going bankrupt because they have medical debt, and I will fight like hell to make sure that happens in Washington, D.C.
Thank you for your response, Mr. McClure. Our second question tonight will be asked by Marta here.
Mr. McClure, the economy is on everybody's mind these days, specifically groceries and gas prices. What will you do to promote a vibrant economy in Northeast Pennsylvania and across the United States? And how does this align with public concern regarding the environmental impact of development, such as data centers, energy use, and infrastructure?
That's a great question. And as a county executive, you are called upon to balance various interests on a daily basis. With respect to economic development, our record in the Lehigh Valley is second to none. Recently, we were just determined to be the #1 small market for new business development and job growth in the entire country. That's something we're very proud of, and Northampton County is a driver of that. Additionally, you're often called to balance interests. We had a problem with warehouse proliferation in Northampton County, and I think this speaks to the part of the question with regard to data centers. What I did was take action. As I was walking out the doors, Northampton County executive, we had preserved our 20,000th acre. That fought back against warehouse proliferation. We preserved 3,800 acres of open space and environmentally sensitive land. Some of the environmentally sensitive land was so sensitive that there were endangered species on it that the federal government wouldn't even tell us what they were. We're very proud of having preserved that environmentally sensitive land. And that helped us push back against warehouse proliferation. Additionally, as you know, in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, zoning, the decisions as to what businesses get sited where, like data centers, for example, are determined by the local government. With respect to warehouses, when we were pushing back against their proliferation, we prepared a manual working in conjunction with the Planning Commission to demonstrate and teach local governments how to zone properly so that when industrial got sited in their municipalities, it was sited where their citizens wanted it to be sited, or not cited if their citizens didn't want them to be cited. So my experience with economic development and land preservation, I think dovetails very nicely with some of these great concerns that you raise in the question you asked.
Mr. McClure, thank you for that, and thank you for joining us tonight. He concludes our candidates running for Congress at this moment. But this is the Spring Candidates Forum here at the Sherman Theater, presented by Pocono Current, and you are watching on either Pocono Television Network tonight or the 2822 News app. We'll be right back with candidates running for state senate in the Poconos.
Thank you very much.
We focus on the issues that matter most to you about your communities. The Pocono Current, a trusted place for important and accurate updates across Monroe, Pike, Wayne, and Carbon counties. Visit PoconoCurrent.com for updates that matter.
Home field advantage. It means no delays with getting you the facts. TSA agents here.
Take this next left, we'll get there quicker. Being local means getting there while the action is still happening.
When you're from here, people open up and give you more information so we can bring you more context to the story. So tell me what happened.
When you know every nook and cranny, we can get you closer to the action.
Get the home field advantage. Only here at 2822 News.
Good morning. We begin with breaking news at 28.
All local news, all the time. Your community, your news, one place. The Pocono Current. Our focus is what matters most to you about where you live in the Poconos. Head to PoconoCurrent.com to stay current.
Good evening and welcome back to the Spring Candidates Forum here at the Sherman Theater, presented by the Pocono Current. I'm Gianna Gali, joined by Justin here and Marta also as well. You are watching either on the Pocono Television Network tonight or the 2822 News app. We thank you for joining us. Turning now to the Pennsylvania State Senate. The incumbent, Rosemary Brown, declined to participate in tonight's forum. She is in her first term and is unopposed in the primary. But her likely opponent in the fall is Brian Wrightson, the Democratic candidate for the 40th Senate District. Wrightson enters the race with a focus on regional growth, infrastructure, and representing the interest of working families across the district. Please welcome Brian Wrightson to the stage tonight. Brian, thank you for being here. You have 90 seconds, also similarly to our candidates running for Congress, to introduce yourself, and then we will begin our questioning. You may begin.
Well, thank you very much. Like they said, my name is Brian Wrightson. I'm from Archibald, Pennsylvania, born and raised in Jessup in northeastern Pennsylvania, proud. Grew up in this area. I've been fighting for the working folks for years. I've been in the emergency management field, and I've been an IT professional for 35 years. And in a lot of the jobs that I've had, making a bad decision could actually affect people's lives, literally. And I decided to jump into this race because of my grandfather, a World War II Purple Heart veteran who couldn't get the services that he needed at the end of his life. The dignity at the end of a veteran's life is a must. The federal government is failing on it, and Pennsylvania must do better. We must stand up for our veterans, and we must make sure that they have what they need from the moment their service ends to the moment they decide that it's time for them to pass on this world. That's the catalyst that pushed me into this race. But then I look at my children and I see them suffering to find jobs in this area, and the affordability just to pay for student loans and to pay the electric bill, and we must do better. We deserve better. Pennsylvania deserves better. Northeastern Pennsylvania absolutely deserves better. And our current senator sits in Harrisburg worried about her billionaire friends.
Mr. Wrightson, thank you for your introduction. We'll begin our questioning. You spoke about your children. How would you address Pennsylvania's structural deficit while still providing adequate funding for education, infrastructure, energy, and other needs?
It all starts with jobs. It starts with quality of life. Pennsylvania must move on their minimum wage. What does that do, and how does that affect the structural debt? It's obvious. A raise in the minimum wage to $15 gives a net benefit to the state of Pennsylvania of $500 million. That takes people off of the public safety nets, puts them into a higher paying job, which then in turn creates more wage tax, which goes into the coffers of the state, which helps bring down the structural debt, which helps bring down the use of our rainy day funds. But the rainy day fund is there for a purpose. It's raining. The rain is coming. I was in the emergency management field, and when I was with the Red Cross and the Susquehanna River was ready to flood, we didn't wait. We didn't wait for the river to flood. We put the sandbags out today. That's what we need to do, is use our rainy day fund now to prevent the flooding in the future. So there's different things that we can do, though. We need to figure out what we're going to change in our structure of revenue. Legalizing marijuana, look at the states around us. Every one of them has some form of recreational use. That recreational use, we're losing billions of dollars to states around us. That's unacceptable. Small games of chance and the skill games that are popping up in every one of our gas stations, convenience stores, they need to put into the revenue structure of Pennsylvania. Those games also have the potential of driving up some of our other costs because of gambling addiction. So we need to work on the structural debt. We need to build more jobs that pay better, that raise the wage. And I think at that point in time, we would have to use less of our rainy day fund.
Thank you for that. Our second question will be asked here from Justin tonight.
Now, to kind of adjust the funding spotlight a bit on the renters and homeowners in the state, what programs would you support with funding to help struggling renters and homeowners in an era of unprecedented housing costs?
I know my clock is starting. Justin, thank you for your radio commentary when I'm driving through Wayne County. I really appreciate listening to your voice. We need more programs that are similar to first home time. Buying a home for the first time, we need to fund that better. But we also have to look at people who may not be buying their first house, but maybe buying their second. Maybe figuring out a way to drive down the cost of home insurance, the cost of closing costs. There's different programs that we should be building, not just for first-time home buyers. They should be for Pennsylvania residents who want to stay in this state, children who've gone to school, came back to their hometown, who can't find a house because they can't afford it. There should be programs for those children. My daughter left northeastern Pennsylvania to go to college at Temple. She never came back. My two grandchildren down there, of the 6 of them, live down near Philadelphia. And if they had the ability to come here with the family sustaining wages and the ability to have some kind of help buying that first home up here, they would have come back home. They would be here. We need to create better programs, put more money into that program, and we absolutely need to figure out how we're going to bring down property tax, especially for our elderly. That is an essential. We can't be chasing people out of homes when we're trying to get people to buy homes. We can't have people losing their homes because they can't afford it. It all ties into the affordability. We need to bring the utility costs down. We need to figure out a way of keeping our families here centralized.
Mr. Wrightson, thank you so much for your time tonight and for informing our viewers. This is the Spring Candidates Forum here at the Sherman Theater, presented by the Pocono Current. Joined with me is Justin and Martha, and you are watching on either the Pocono Television Network or the 2822 News app. We'll be right back with more candidates running for state senate, specifically the 20th district. Stay with us. Don't go anywhere.
2822 Now. It's free for your TV, not your phone, not your tablet, just for your TV.
Live news, original shows, The Mahalchik Files, 2822 Sports Night, Off the Clock, and so much more.
Streaming free on Roku, Apple TV, and Fire TV.
2822 Now. Free for your TV. Did we mention it's free? 2822 Now. Download it on your TV.
From hometown fields to the national spotlight.
If it's sports, we're covering it.
Download the free 2822 Now app. Join Elena, Ricky, and me as we dive into the passion behind your local heroes with exclusive analysis and interviews you won't find anywhere else.
Find the app on your smart TV. Just search 2822 on Fire TV, Roku, or Apple TV.
Catch 2822 Sports Night at 8 p.m. only on the 2822 Now streaming app.
Welcome back to the Spring Candidates Forum at the Sherman Theater, here tonight, presented by the Pocono Current. You are watching on either Pocono Television Network or the 2822 News app. We thank you for joining if you might have just tuned in. The incumbent in the 20th District is Senator Lisa Baker. She declined our invitation to participate in tonight's forum, citing a prior engagement. Her opponent, however, in the primary is Tyler Myers, a Republican candidate for the 20th Senate District. Myers is campaigning on issues including economic opportunity, government accountability, and strengthening local communities throughout northeastern Pennsylvania. Please welcome Tyler Myers here tonight to the stage. We thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Similar to our other candidates, you will also have 90 seconds to present.
Okay. My name is Tyler Myers. Thank you again for having me here. I am a Christian conservative and an 8-year Army veteran. My faith and my career in the Army have inspired me to continue a career in public service in a legislative manner. I'm running against Lisa Baker because I feel as though Lisa Baker has completely failed us over the last 20 years. One of the things she's done is funnel $3 million in taxpayer dollars to an app called Couth that exposed children to transgender ideology in our schools. She's also voted in favor of abortion at every chance she can, and she's voted for every budget increase that we've had in the last 20 years. To make matters worse, she also voted in favor of House Bill 2060, which is essentially a red flag law. And I'm running to be the conservative option on the ballot, pro-life, pro-Second Amendment, pro-voter integrity, and I would like to be the conservative option on the ballot.
Mr. Myers, thank you. We will begin our questioning. First, how would you address Pennsylvania's structural deficit while still providing adequate funding for education, infrastructure, energy, and other needs?
Well, this is a good one because we just got out of budget deadlock, and we're going to have budget deadlock again in the future. And I think if we have budget deadlock, this is a good opportunity to pass single-issue spending bills. And for me, I would introduce single-issue spending bills and encourage my Republican colleagues to introduce single-issue spending bills that would fund essential services for the government while also making it so that way it would be easier to argue about and debate the unessential spending. We can cut down on the spending. We could cut down on regulations, which would increase revenue and make Pennsylvania economically prosperous.
Thank you for your response. And our second question tonight will come from Marta.
Mr. Myers, there is no question that we are in a housing affordability emergency at this point. What programs would you support and how would they be funded for renters and homeowners in this era of unprecedented housing costs?
For housing costs, I'm not sure that I would. I'm a free market. I'm a free market capitalist, so I would support for as much as of the regulations to be taken off of renters or landlords as possible, so that way they could provide a cost-effective living scenario. But the current housing bills are probably something that I would continue. I wouldn't look to increase that.
Thank you. We do have some time remaining for your session, so we would like to ask you another question. What action will you take to alleviate heavy tax burden on our senior citizens?
The things that I would do to alleviate heavy tax burdens on our senior citizens is to cut spending. If you cut spending, then there's no need for the taxes that we have.
There's still time for one more question.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Myers, what, if any, actions would you support to safeguard ballot access and election security?
Well, unlike my opponent, I'd be opposed to Act 77. I would work to repeal Act 77, which introduced no excuse mail-in ballots. I would be in favor of voter ID. I would be in favor of same-day voting on paper ballots that are counted on the same day. I would also not be in favor of any mail-in ballots unless they're the absentee ballots with the prior restrictions put in place. So that way our soldiers and people with disabilities could still cast a ballot without having the ability to get to the polls.
Mr. Myers, thank you for your time tonight and for your responses. This is the Spring Candidates Forum here at the Sherman Theater, presented by the Pocono Current, joined by Justin Gambita and Martha Gouger here tonight. I'm Gianna Galli with 2822 News. We will be coming right back after the break with another candidate running for state senate.
All local news, all the time. Your community, your news, one place. The Pocono Current. Our focus is what matters most to you about where you live in the Poconos. Head to PoconoCurrent.com to stay current.
From hometown fields to the national spotlight.
If it's sports, we're covering it.
Download the free 2822 Now app. Join Elena, Ricky, and me as we dive into the passion behind your local heroes with exclusive analysis and interviews you won't find anywhere else.
Find the app on your smart TV. Just search 2822 on Fire TV, Roku, or Apple TV.
Catch 2822 Sports Night at 8 p.m. only on the 2822 Now streaming app.
We focus on the issues that matter most to you about your communities. The Pocono Current, a trusted place for important and accurate updates across Monroe, Pike, Wayne, and Carbon counties. Visit PoconoCurrent.com for updates that matter.
Welcome back tonight to the Spring Candidate Forum. Also running in the 20th Senate District is Jackie Baker. She is unopposed on the Democratic ticket and ran against Senator Baker 4 years ago. Jackie Baker brings a background in public service and community engagement, with priorities centered on education, public safety, and responsive government. Please welcome to the stage tonight, Jackie Baker. Thank you for being here. And you also have 90 seconds to introduce yourself.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me tonight. I am Jackie Baker, and I am running for the state senate in District 20. This is my second run for the state senate in the 20th district and my third run for the state senate overall. I was born and raised and educated right here in Northeast Pennsylvania, and my family and I reside in Susquehanna County. I am a mom, and I am the wife of a former serving U.S. Marine. I earned my bachelor's degree and master's degree in education, specializing in early childhood education, elementary and special education, and curriculum development. I have made it my life's work to help people through public service. My training and experience as a teacher has made me an effective and compassionate leader who treats everyone with dignity, respect, and fairness, no matter where they come from or what they look like. I was a public school teacher for almost 20 years, taking care of students and their families, and was my life experience, and I did that in rural areas, small cities, and large cities as well. I have served every community by making the education, the health, and the general welfare of our children and their families my top priority. So I'm glad to be here and look forward to answering your questions. Thank you.
Thank you. And we will begin our questioning now. First, how would you address Pennsylvania's structural deficit while still providing adequate funding for education, infrastructure, energy, and other needs?
Thank you. It is unacceptable that the state budget last year was delayed over 4 months. The delay was caused by a fight over how the budget should be funded, and they created it and passed it without any new revenue sources. This is leaving Pennsylvania with a $7 to $8 billion structural deficit coming in the upcoming years. With most of Pennsylvania budget being mandatory spending, we face the real risk of massive cuts to education, healthcare, transit, safety net programs, and the environment. The lack of revenue is something that needs to be addressed immediately. Our corporate taxes are way too low. Pennsylvania's corporate net income tax was historically among the highest in the country, but we began a multi-year phase down in 2023. This is leaving us with less and less revenue to pay for the things we need. We have not passed a severance tax on natural gas production. This is another opportunity where revenue has been lost. We also have the development of data centers, and that will be shaped by state policy as well. And we have to look at the tax exemptions that were already given to these companies. We have a lot of places to look at where we can make corrections, starting with corporate taxes. Since most of the companies operating here pay zero in state tax, 70% or more, corporations pay little or no tax. We need to change that. I suggest we pass a fair share tax so that all the largest corporations and the wealthiest people in Pennsylvania finally pay their fair share. This would raise millions and millions of dollars to pay for all the things that we need to pay for.
Mrs. Baker, thank you. And thank you for your response. We will ask you the 4 questions we asked Mr. Myers prior to you. Marta will ask our second question here tonight.
We are in a housing affordability crisis in the area. What programs would you support, and where would the funding come from to help struggling renters and homeowners in this era of unprecedented housing costs?
Again, we're going to look at state taxes and state revenue. If we have the richest millionaires and billionaires and the largest corporations who operate in Pennsylvania pay a fair share tax, we can bring money into our revenue. When we have money in our revenue, we can help people with health, housing, and transit, and everything else in between. State legislatures have a significant impact on housing costs because the state decides how land is used and how buildings are constructed. We need to take a variety of steps to reduce the costs of housing. I propose allowing more housing of all types, including duplexes, townhomes, and smaller starter homes on small lots in more parts of the state. Since they are smaller, they require less land and materials, which make them cheaper than larger homes on larger plots. Code changes would allow developers to build 3 and 4 family units under the residential building code, and that would create great opportunities for smaller families, making homes easier and cheaper to build. I believe we should also make it easier to build apartments, especially in high demand areas near businesses, retail, and transit lines. I support expanding inclusionary zoning policies that require or encourage developers to set aside a share of new units as affordable, lower income households. I believe we need to streamline the permitting process, reducing costs that usually get placed onto the home buyers. I propose we make it easier for owners to subdivide their lots to allow for building, and to encourage developers to continue to use the low-income housing tax credit, the largest federal program for creating affordable rental housing.
Thank you. Justin will have our third question now.
What do you believe can be done to alleviate the heavy tax burden on senior citizens?
Well, just senior citizens and young families and working families, we're all struggling. We're all finding everything to be way too expensive. In order to help the less fortunate, the people who need it the most, our seniors, our veterans, our struggling families, I'm going to come back again to our state tax system. If we do not make revenue that comes in to fund our budget on a yearly basis, we cannot fund anything. We cannot help our seniors. I propose we have to go back and eliminate some of these tax breaks for the richest people, the richest companies who pay nothing in state tax. And when we get a fair share tax and they pay their fair percent, we can lower taxes for seniors and working people by up to 50%.
Thank you. And our fourth and final question, what, if any, actions would you support to safeguard ballot access and election security?
Our right to vote must be protected at all costs because it is the foundation of our democracy. We must be allowed to freely and safely cast our ballots and ensure that our trusted local election officials count every vote. I support protecting and expanding the access to voting by making it easier to register to vote. I believe in eliminating barriers to voting by mail, allowing no excuse absentee voting, and protecting the right to vote by mail in ballots, which is a safe and convenient voting method. I support protecting voters, including securing voting rights for all citizens. I believe we cannot allow voter intimidation laws and burdensome voter ID laws to pass, for they would disenfranchise millions and millions of voters. Continue.
Mrs. Baker, thank you. And thank you for joining us tonight for the Spring Candidates Forum. She is our sixth and final candidate this evening. We will be right back to wrap up tonight's forum. Don't go anywhere.
Thank you.
NEPA's Children First is our commitment
To putting the children of Northeast PA first.
Supporting families with trusted information.
Uplifting stories and hands-on outreach.
Practical parenting advice for everyday families.
Celebrating student superheroes.
Connecting children with forever families.
2822, together with you, celebrating and empowering NEPA's children. Brought to you by these sponsors.
2822 Now. It's free for your TV. Not your phone, not your tablet, just for your TV.
Live news, original shows, The Mahalchik Files, 2822 Sports Night, Off the Clock, and so much more.
Streaming free on Roku, Apple TV, and Fire TV.
2822 Now. Free for your TV. Did we mention it's free? 2822 Now. Download it on your TV.
Welcome back. Before we go here tonight, we would like to thank you for joining us for the first Spring Candidates Forum on PTN, presented by the Pocono Current. I'm Gianna Galli with 2822 News, joined by Marta with the Times News this evening, and Justin with Wayne-Pike News Radio. I thank them both for being here. And thank you for watching, our viewers and our voters at home. Also in our audience, we would like to thank the League of Women Voters here in Monroe County. We thank them for being in attendance. And we are in the historic Sherman Theater here this evening, and the Pocono Current will host more of these events and civic forums later this year. Make sure to stay tuned for the next one in June. But a little reminder here tonight, you can still register for the PA primary by May 4th. The primary for Democrats and Republicans is May 19th, and to learn more about the candidates from tonight's session, you can head to the PoconoCurrent.com and also 2822news.com for any further information, some updates on the candidates as the election season continues on, also heading into the November election come in November. And also, thank you for joining us here on the 2822 Now app on your smart television, which we are happy to have you tune in for free. I would like to have Marta and Justin say any final words that they would like to add.
I just thank everybody for coming tonight, and I'd like to tell you a little bit about the Times News. We are a daily Monday through Saturday newspaper that focuses on local news throughout Carbon, Monroe, Lehigh, Northampton, and Schuylkill counties. We invite you to check us out at tnonline.com, and we invite you to submit letters to the editor in support of candidates. Thank you.
And then, yes, I'm Justin Gambita from Wayne-Pike News Radio under Bold Gold Media. We have an array of radio stations on our Radio Bold app. We cover news in Wayne and Pike counties and also just general state interest stories. So thank you all for coming tonight and listening and viewing. And the Radio Bold app available on app stores everywhere.
And another reminder before we go, not mentioned here tonight, but the PA's governor race is also on the ballot this primary come May. Governor Josh Shapiro and his running mate, Lieutenant Governor Austin Davis, are running as Democrats, and Treasurer Stacey Garrity is running as a Republican. We will watch that race closely as well. Again, thank you for joining us for the first Spring Candidates Forum here at the Sherman Theater. We hope you have a good night.